Hi there. Today's tutorial is going to walk you through Socrative, which is a student response system that you can use in your classroom to give spontaneous quizzes, check-ins, review for assignments, even give exit tickets while really motivating your students and engaging them. So again, what exactly is Socrative? It's a smart student response system that teachers set up, and it's basically like an online chat room. And you invite your students into your room, and then you can start whatever activity it is that you pose to them. So it can be a review for a test, it could be a review for a quiz, it could be check-ins after an assignment. Did you get this lesson? How do you feel about this lesson? Or you can actually give quizzes through Socrative, and it's an instantaneous grade, and there's no paper nor grading involved. It's already done for you. Socrative is also engaging. Students can log on from whatever device they have and join your room and participate in your activity. You can keep tabs on exactly who's on what student is where, and how they're doing. And again, that assessment piece is a key feature of Socrative. You can see real-time results of exactly what's going on, where your students are, and you can kind of guide your instruction based on the assessments. So once again, Socrative is compatible with anything. You don't need an iPad. Yes, it is an app if you have an iPad. There's a teacher app and there's a student app. You would need to download both. But students can also go to Socrative.com and log in as a student. Teachers can go to Socrative.com and log in as a teacher. It works on iPhones, iPads, laptops, computers. It works on Kindle Fires. It works on iPod Touches. So it really has a multitude of devices that it works on. And again, that instant feedback is huge. You can actually run reports. So if you give an assessment online through Socrative, you get an Excel spreadsheet emailed to you that's tracked by students, and you can keep tabs on the problems they got wrong, what students chose as answers. It's fantastic. And again, you're going to personalize your content, and you're going to start building assessments and reviews in your Socrative library, and they'll be there for you to use over and over again, as well as share out with other teachers. So how do you set up an account? You're going to start by going Socrative.com, and you're going to see this teacher registration right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to fill out your email, and you're going to put in a password, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to sign up. And if you do have an iPad, you are going to want to download the student and teacher apps. That way it's easier to kind of maneuver and get into the rooms. However, you don't need to have them. You can simply go on to Socrative.com from any device to get onto or into your classroom. Once you log on, this is what you're going to see. It's called your teacher dashboards, or in other words, your home menu, your home screen. This is going to be your most important feature. It's your room number. This is what students are going to need to access your Socrative room. They're going to need to enter in this room code directly into their login when they log on as a student through Socrative.com, and they have to enter it exactly in order to enter your room. As students begin entering your room, you're going to see this 0 right here start to go up 1, 2, 5, based on how many students have logged into your classroom. So that's a great way to kind of keep track, is everybody in. This tab right here is going to allow you to start a quiz if you already have quizzes saved. You can start a quiz and you can run it and start getting feedback. If you have a quiz that you want to run as a game instead, this is a space race. Students absolutely love it, and it's very fun, and it's just the quiz, but as a game. Let's say you didn't have time to make a quiz, but you still want to ask a few questions. This quick question is kind of an easy way to avoid having to create a whole quiz, and you can still ask questions and get feedback, but in a really fast way. One of the last tabs is an exit ticket tab, which asks students 3 short questions about the lesson. Did you understand the lesson? How do you feel about the lesson? Tell me something you learned. And you'll be able to see the student results based on those 3 questions. And if you don't have any quizzes saved in your library yet, this is where you're going to go to start creating your quizzes, saving them, and you can actually even share your quizzes with other teachers, or teachers can share their created quizzes with you. So this is going to be basically your starting point when you first begin Socrative. So because I'm new to Socrative, I'm going to click on the Manage Quizzes option. And this is the screen that's going to pop up. I will now have these four choices to choose from. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click Create Quiz. And now I'll have the ability to start making my very first quiz. When you click Create Quiz, these are the next screens that you're going to see. The first thing you're going to have to do is name your quiz. So you would enter in a title right here. This next feature is really cool. This is going to be your Socrative online sharing code, and what this means is I can share this quiz with my teammates, or I can share it with other grade 5 teachers in my district by simply giving them that code, and they'll have access to the quiz that I just created. Once you're ready to start adding your questions, you can choose the kind of question you want to add. Do you want multiple choice, true, false, or short answer? I always like to do multiple choice and give them their answer for a few reasons. When I give them a short answer, I have to be really careful on how I word the answers. If students don't type it in exactly as you did, for example, capitals, periods, spacing, word choice, they're going to be told that the answer is wrong. So I kind of avoid the short answer just because it's trickier to get students to answer correctly. So I usually stick with multiple choice or true false. If I click multiple choice, this is the screen that I'm going to see. And I would start by just putting in my problem. So I put 4 plus 3. And then I'm able to just put in as many choices as I want. I can also add more columns if I want, or if I only wanted 3 choices, I could also delete one of the columns. And here you can see that I selected 7 as the correct answer, and there's a green checkbox. I can also add an explanation that students would see when they did answer the question and say they got it wrong. I can also add an image if I'd like. I'm just going to keep adding multiple choice questions, true false questions, or short answer questions until I've completed making my quiz. And once I finished making my quiz, I'm just going to hit the save and exit button to move on. Now that you've made your test or your quiz, you can actually run it as a space race, which the students love, and it turns out to be a fantastic review method. So you're going to go back to your dashboard and you're going to hit space race, which is right here, and then you'll be prompted to the next slide, which is right here. And you'll select the test that you want to run as a space race. I saved mine as sample, so I see it right there. And then you're ready to move on to the next step. You'll have to enter the number of teams that you want. I usually just partner my students up into groups of 2 just so it's easier and they are accountable for the work. And then you're going to be opted to choose who chooses the color of their space shuttle. I always go to auto assign, which means that it is going to randomly tell the groups what color spaceship they are. If I go to student assign, they always fight over color, so it's always auto assign. And then you're ready to move on. And when the kids are ready and they are in your room and you've ran your space race, this is what's going to just automatically pop up on their screen. And it's going to tell the students in the corner of their device what color they are. It might tell them that they're blue or magenta or lime. And what they do is, as they go through each problem that is on your quiz, it's going to move their spaceship further along if they get it right. If they get it wrong, it's not going to move them. So I tell the students the goal is to complete the space race and be the furthest along. It doesn't matter that you're not the first. It's not about time. It's about, can you accurately finish this space race? And what you'll do is you'll monitor the progress of these space shuttles on your device to see who is still working, who is not working. Once groups are done, they can't go back and complete the space race again. It just says on their screen to wait for the teacher's next activity. So I have something for them to work on while other groups are still completing the space race. Once you see that everyone has completed the space race, it will prompt you to the next slide. And you'll see something like this, where you can now see the results of what was just assessed. I always choose the email button first, and I do want it to be reported as whole class Excel so I can kind of see what happened, but you also have individual students if you only want a select group of students you want to check in on, or do you want to go question by question. And then you would just hit submit, and it's going to give you a great snapshot of what just happened in your classroom. If you didn't want to run something as a space race, you just kind of wanted to give an exit ticket and see where students are at the end of the lesson, you also have that option, which is right here. And it will automatically prompt students to answer 3 questions. And this is something that I would have all of the students answer if they all had a device, or I might team them up and kind of get an idea of where they were, or they could actually take the exit ticket and then hand off their device to somebody else for them to take the exit ticket. The first question they're going to be asked is, how well did you understand today's material? And they'll have these choices where they can answer. Did you totally get it? Pretty well, not very well, not at all. And again, this will just be reported out to me in an email that I can view after the students leave, so it's not visible to everyone. The second question, they'll get to tell me something they learned in class today. And the third question, I might just ask a question on the board, on my whiteboard, I might write it out, and they'll be able to answer that. That way, if there was a problem I wanted them to complete to see if they really did get it, or if I wanted an additional question, that would be my chance to ask it. And again, I'm going to be able to explain the results and see the results in an emailed spreadsheet for myself. Let's say you're in the middle of math class and you want to get an assessment of where your students are, but you didn't do the legwork ahead of time and make a quiz. You just have devices. You want them to kind of answer questions so you can get a sense of, did you get what I was talking about? Maybe you're using this as a small group. You're with a small group and you want to see, did you really get it or not? You're going to have the option to just give a quick question assessment. And again, no upfront work needed. You'll be prompted to multiple choice, true, false, or short answer, and it's things that you can write on the whiteboard and just have them respond to. So it's quick if it's something you want to assess but you didn't prep ahead of time. Your next option is to actually start a quiz if you already made a quiz. So that quiz sample that we made, that we ran as a space race, if I didn't want to give it as a space race, I actually wanted to give it as a quiz, I have that option as well. And I would click Start Quiz. And when I hit Start Quiz, I'm going to be prompted with a few different choices of how I want to give this quiz. You can choose a student-paced quiz with immediate feedback. So if they answer it incorrectly, they'll immediately know it's wrong, and I have that option of telling them why it's wrong. It would be a feedback option that I would have the chance to fill in when I was creating my test. I also have the option of making that quiz able to run as student-paced, student navigation, where all students were kind of at their own pace answering questions one at a time, and they wouldn't get the feedback when they were doing it. They could skip questions if they weren't sure, they could go back to it if they wanted to, which is a little bit different than the student-paced feedback with immediate results. They're not going to have that option to skip. They have to go in order. The last option that you have is it's that teacher-paced, where I would give students maybe a minute to answer the question and then it would simply just move on. So 3 different options depending on how you want to run this quiz, and essentially this option takes away correcting and it takes away paper. Something that's really cool to think about in the future. I hope after this you have a really good idea of what Socrative is and the different ways you could incorporate this into your classroom with your students. Thanks for watching, and we hope this made you feel less overwhelmed and more, I can do this.